Peace everyone, Unmask Art here. Welcome back to the Pastel tutorial. Hope everyone is having a lovely day. I got a few new colors that are coming into this project. So just like I added the sienna and cobalt to the background, I grabbed a sienna and cobalt. The numbers are 405 and 675. This third color here is sort of a mustard yellow. This is 690. And I'm going to be incorporating this into the rest of the statue to warm up the gray tones a little bit. Because right now they're sort of neutral. They do lean a little bit in both directions. Like some of the shadows are cooler in the gray, and then the main color is sort of a French gray, so it's a little bit warmer. But I'm going to be introducing the cobalt and sienna into the project. And truthfully, I haven't really thought too much about how I'm going to introduce these colors. Um, I think what I'll do is sort of just gradually put them in, not near the highlights, like anywhere except where the highlights are. And the shadow on the left side, I'm going to keep that cooler tone and add a little bit of the cobalt. And then for the right side, I'll add a little bit of the sienna color. And we'll see how it goes. So we've gotten to the point of this project where the entire paper is covered, which is fantastic. I always like to get to that point of all the projects. And now it's time to go back through and rework everything. And what I'm going to start with, I'm just going to start at the head, and we're just going to work our way down. So the plan is to finish this by Tuesday next week. So I'm going to do what I can today and see how far I make it. Hey there, Susan, Diane, Claire, Jerry, Victor, Barbara, Kizzy. Good to see all of you. Hope you're having a lovely day. It seems to be kind of gloomy today. I think we might be seeing some rain here. All right. Let's see. So I'm going to just come in here with black and very delicately add in a bit of depth to some of the shadows. Now, I actually did this on the face, I think fairly well, actually. I have quite a bit of the darker shadows put in, but I'm just going to do a little bit more and then use my other colors to just make those small adjustments. That's the plan for today. And as usual, if you guys have any questions for me, don't hesitate to ask. Hey there, Norlene. Good to see you. Oh, I also forgot to mention that I grabbed the white pencil also. So I'll brighten up some of the highlights this time around. Truthfully, there's not a whole lot of black that I need to add here, because I used quite a bit of the black to darken the shadows when working on the head on day one. So there's truthfully not a whole lot to do there. I'm going to switch up my colors now. I'm going to grab the 726 and continue layering in some of the darker shapes a bit more. And it's at this point where you can start to bring in some of the details. So I'll, of course, accentuate some of the shapes here and there and do smaller lines. And I'll do that in both directions. I'll use the dark values and the light values for them. Hey there, Rain. Good to see you. I think the wire from the udon cam is tangled around my foot. I'm trying to kick it away from me because I don't want to like rip it out of the back of my computer. trying to get me. Diane, I know that you're doing a different statue. I haven't seen any more progress shots of your statue. How is that going? And for anybody else that is doing this particular project, I know Norleen, you did it in colored pencil, and I think there was a couple things that you were going to adjust. Yeah, just let me know how your guys' projects are going. You're always more than welcome to share your work in progress in the Discord. And if you're not in the Discord, I know that Discord was new and is new to some of you. So don't be shy to use it. I'm always logged into Discord, and when you like write me a message or you post in the Discord, um, I get notified, and so I can usually much more consistent than on other platforms. I can answer questions faster and easier. So if you ever have any questions, I try to keep myself as available as I reasonably can. You'd also have to excuse the time differences depending on where you're located, but for the most part, I feel like I do okay keeping up with Discord questions and everything like that. Try to respond as much as I can. But I try to give everybody like unfettered access to myself. So just for those of you not in the Discord yet, that is always an available way to reach me and ask questions. So you are more than welcome to join. I'm pretty sure I have the link in the description. I think I've been trying to be better at making sure I have those links in the descriptions. Going slowly. Oh, you did the shirt. Struggling with the hands. Yep. The hands can be a struggle. I know you've been busy last week with family and stuff, so wasn't sure if you made any made any progress recently or not. So just checking in. I made some tea for myself just before the stream, so I'm gonna have a sip. I just intend on taking my time today, so the more questions that you guys ask, the better. You could almost consider this part of the project the polishing stage because I'm just going to be taking my time with it and enjoying the process, and I might stream a little extra today. Feeling much better from yesterday, by the way. I felt pretty good after I finished streaming. I was a little tired, but it's all good. I'm gonna meet up with my friends later uh, at the gym. So that's the plans for the rest of the evening. So I'm just gonna take today nice and slowly. I don't know how I'm gonna manage at the gym. My arms are still feel like they're broken. Yeah, I definitely need to keep a good pace, nice and slow pace for this project. It is a complex project, so definitely don't want to rush anything. Yeah, getting over heavy-handedness. I don't personally have much experience with that, but I know it uh, can be difficult. It's no different than if I were to try to become heavy-handed because I've always been very, very light-handed, and the idea of doing the opposite of what I've just always naturally done is difficult to do. So yeah, it can be tough getting past that. Um, so yeah, just take your time with it. I think this project is just a lot of fun to do, even though the subject matter is rather complex. It's not as complex as if we were doing an actual portrait because we don't have to deal with the complexity of skin tones, and that's that's something at least. Don't have to deal too much with that. So, but regardless, the complexity of the shapes and the values and everything that is still a hurdle to get past, and it can be difficult. Hey there, Stephanie. Good to see you. Yeah, the features that belong to the wing and to the tail, um, it's not totally clear in the reference photo, and yeah, I would say don't focus too much on the idea that it's a bird. Just focus on the shapes. There's no. I could have sworn I had the. I'm sure Diane will be able to grab the Discord link for you, Teresa. I could have sworn I had it in the. I maybe it's just on the colored pencil tutorial. Let me see here. Diane will probably get it before I do, but I am popping out the chat here. For whatever reason, it's kind of obnoxious, but I'm supposed to be able to use my I'm supposed to be able to use the chat. Thank you, Diane, for that. I'm supposed to be able to use the chat uh, in my software that I use for streaming, but for some reason it doesn't recognize me. Like I can't type in it, so um, I have to always go to the actual live stream on YouTube. And so I was gonna do that, but Diane got me. Good morning, Joanna. Okay, Susan. No problem. Trying to correct my nose here. I didn't quite get it the way that I needed it the first time working on the face. So I'm doing some really, really small micro adjustments. One of the things that I got wrong on the nose was that I didn't have this shadow here from the left eye. I didn't have that coming in enough, and you may have caught me measuring. So I'm using a vertical line, and I'm looking at the reference photo. I can see that the furthest part in up here on the nose is actually like in the center of the lips. So I'm using that vertical line to just gauge my distance a little bit. And it was off by quite literally a millimeter. But when the face is so small, a millimeter makes up quite a bit of distance, and therefore makes a pretty significant difference in the overall look. So that adjustment works well. She has a little bit of a cleft chin. Subtle cleft. All right, and now I'm going to use the 704. No, it's probably, I don't know what the deal is with the software that I'm using. It was working for some while, like I was able to use the chat, but for some reason, like I don't know, past couple months or whatever, it's like it signed me out or something. I never bothered trying to fix it. Okay, I'm using the 704. I'm gonna smooth out some of these transitions and everything. My goal is to make the hair like smoother, and therefore it should appear quite a bit softer. So I'm just really, really taking my time here. Doing a lot of recovering the paper because I'd say that that first layer is still just a touch rough. By adding this additional layer here, it's going to just be a lot smoother. It's going to add to the smooth effect of the stone. Does the inset image just drop off the screen for a sec? Do you mean my webcam? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, it's the program that runs my webcam. I don't know why it does it, but my camera has to keep resetting like every half hour. So like every half hour it resets, and so it turns it off and turns it back on. I don't think there's any way for me to turn that off without it overheating or something like that. I don't know what the deal is, but I may just end up buying a new camera. Although it's not very justified to that expense wouldn't really be justified. um, yeah, I'm right there with you, Sally. That's why I still haven't bought a smartphone. I've never had a smartphone. I just I don't know if I want to add that level of complexity to an object that I barely use in the first place. Like my phone battery right now lasts like a week, almost maybe 2 weeks actually. And sometimes I just straight up forget to charge it and it spends like 3 days dead and I don't even realize it. Until my wife comes home from work one day and she's like, "Did you get my text?" And I was like, "No." And then I look at the phone and it's dead and I have absolutely no idea how long it's been dead. But I just barely ever use it. Sometimes I consider the mild convenience it would be to have access to like Google Maps when I'm in a city that I'm not 100% familiar with, or I need to find like a vegan restaurant or something like that. But at the same time, what I usually end up doing is using like hotel Wi-Fi to find whatever restaurant that I want, and then I just use a map so that I know how to get there, and then I just get there. I just walk there with the from memory because I've always been really good at doing that. Almost never need a map for anything at all. I mean, I drove across the United States without internet, without GPS or anything like that. I literally had key markers on flashcards, like post-it notes. You know, I had well, I can't remember how many miles I drove, but I drove 34 hours, like 34 complete hours from Seattle to Canton, Ohio. Well, technically a little south from Canton, but um, yeah. And we didn't take a straight shot. We did a little bit of sightseeing and we stopped off in Chicago to go to a concert. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like I memorized the simplest route. I simply memorized from point A to point B and from point B to point C and from C to D and D to E to F. So I'm pretty good with maps. Yeah, I'm pretty good with maps and memorizing directions. I have a, I just have a really, really good um, sense of direction for whatever reason. All right, I'm going to switch to the 700 and I'm pretty much going to layer this on everything else. And then I'll probably use some of the white to hit up the highlights. Yeah, that's, portable, like I'm on my computer like 24/7 almost when I'm at home. Like I almost never leave this chair. Um, and even when I do leave this chair, it's for that bed. And all I do is I switch the HDMI cable out of my computer because I don't, I just use my computer on my main TV out of the bed as well. So I'm always plugged in to the matrix. Yeah, my wife doesn't have very good directional memory either. We've been to Krakow way more times than I could ever count at this point, and she still can't find, like, from the bus stop, she still can't navigate to like any of our favorite restaurants. Meanwhile, you could blindfold me, take me to Krakow, and I'd still be able to walk you to wherever you wanted to go, blindfolded. That's how like familiar I am with the city. Because she's asked me, sorry, she's asked me so many times like how I am able to find things the way that I do. Um, and for me, very much like the way that I draw, um, I sort of I sort of build a map using just using like the coordinate, sort of a grid method almost. And I I always know where north, south, east, and west are. Like you could take me outside and spin me in circles, and for whatever reason, I can still feel where north, south, east, and west are. Like it's just something I've always just been able to do for whatever reason, like a goose or something. Connection to the electromagnetic resonance of the planet or something. I've just always been able to feel the direction that I'm facing. If the sun is not up, you don't know. When it comes to driving, if I drive somewhere, I will never forget how to get there. However, if I am driven there, most of the time I'm not paying attention to where we're going. And so if I drive there, I'll never forget. But if you drive me, it's a little bit different of a story because usually I lose interest in watching where we're going. I mean, if it was a challenge like where somebody drives me somewhere and I'm supposed to drive myself back there, then I would pay attention on how to get there and I would know how to get there after one trip. Almost without any like with any amount of distance and with whatever amount of time. I would just have to pay attention. When I was a kid, I ride my bike around the the two towns that I lived in because we had like sister cities, New Philadelphia and Dover. You almost can't tell when you enter one and leave the other because they're just so mushed together, but they're technically different towns. And I grew up riding my bike and walking those two cities, those two towns. They're not cities. Um, and I knew every street. Like I knew every street. There was nowhere that I couldn't go. So it also helped that when I was in high school, I delivered pizzas for a short period of time, and I learned even more roads and streets and stuff. I could almost draw a map of those two towns in their entirety. And just to give you perspective, the population of both cities is about 25 to 35,000. So combined, it's about, say, 60,000 or so citizens in those two towns combined. And I swear I've ridden my bike on every single street that either of those two towns have. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a concussion except for possibly a concussion when I was snowboarding, which I told you guys that story where I hit my head and I woke up. I became conscious again riding the ski lift back up the hill. And even though I know I went down that hill a few more times, I actually don't remember it. Like I would be riding down the hill and then I'd get to the bottom and I'd be back up on the ski lift and I'd be like, I don't remember. So never formally um, was it concluded medically that I had a concussion during that time, but it seems like maybe a mild concussion was a rather strong possibility. Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, that can be scary a little bit, sending your kid off to a foreign country, but you know, a place like South Korea is incredibly safe. At least you won't have to worry um, much in regards to her safety in a country like South Korea. Yeah, the like the crime per capita in some of those Eastern Asian countries like South Korea, Japan, and stuff, like the crime rate in comparison to pretty much any place here in Europe, and especially the U.S. Like the U.S. is incredibly unsafe in terms of like crime and stuff in comparison to pretty much every country on the planet. That's one of the reasons I always wanted to move to Japan as well, because Japan is one of the safest countries in the world, and like you you don't even use bike locks in Japan because nobody steals bikes. I mean, people steal bikes, but it's just so uncommon to be concerned about it that most people don't even bother locking up their bikes. Or when they're at like a restaurant cafe or something and they're using their computer and they have to go to the bathroom, they just leave their computer at their seat. Like nobody touches it. That'd be hard for an American to get used to, I think. That concept of not having to be concerned about your stuff being stolen. I'm trying to think if I've ever had anything stolen like that. I actually can't recall. I don't know if I've ever had anything big stolen. My sister actually had her car stolen. My dad had his car stolen as well, like within the same week. Um, uh, my dad, he really likes to do the door dashing stuff, and so he was dropping something off for DoorDash, and he didn't think anything of it. He just hopped out of his car. I don't even think he shut it off because he was just walking up to the door, to hand the person their food, and he hands the lady her food and turns around and somebody's like a group of kids is taken off in his car, and it wasn't like a fancy car by any means. He just uses it for driving his deliveries. um but he still had his phone with the app in his car, so he was actually able to track his car from his phone. And for whatever reason, they just drove around the block and then left it there. So fortunately, he got his car back, but my sister didn't. Although, like a month later, they did find my sister's car, and it was just stripped of everything valuable inside. All right, I'm going to use some white now. I'm going to bring out some of these highlights. But me personally, I don't think I've ever actually had anything big like that stolen, or even small, really. Yeah, when I was young, I didn't really lock anything up either. Oh goodness. Yeah, getting your groceries stolen. That's obnoxious. Yeah, Singapore does have a public caning. I don't know when the last time somebody has been publicly caned, but as far as I know, it is still a potential um, punishment that you can receive. Singapore is a really great country. I've been to Singapore once, and I really enjoyed it. I've always wanted to go back. It was definitely one of my favorite places I've ever been to. I love the convenience of getting around to Singapore. Oh yeah, I not even for a second did I feel like Singapore could even be an unsafe place. Yeah, I think Singapore is probably one of the safer places on the planet as well. Oh, hey there, Remy. When would you choose a sharp eraser over white pastel? If I'm working with pastel, I'd never choose an eraser over the white pencil. Why favorite? Um, it was well, like I said, it was just so easy to get around. Like they have I think they call it a train, but it's more like an overground subway is sort of what it feels like actually. But you can get anywhere on the island like in a matter of 10, 15 minutes because the train essentially it circles the island and then it branches out from the center. So it's just anywhere you want to go, you can just go in a few minutes, super cheap. Um, they they have an amazing um, system of not polluting. It sounds really bad, but actually, all of Singapore they collect all of their trash and then they take it to this big incinerator. And you would think, oh gosh, they just burn the whole country's trash. That's got to be terrible for the environment. Well, actually, what they do is they use it for fuel to generate electricity, and then they actually filter out the fumes and smoke from the burning incinerator, and they purify it and then pump it back into the air. So they actually the only pollution that they create is from the ashes of the incinerator. And they take these ashes to a secluded water source that's completely blocked off from all like the ocean. I think it might be like man-made sort of pond, if you want to call it that, or lake. Um, and they just put the ash inside the the lake, but even like for whatever reason the ash doesn't like poison the water or anything or even make it harmful to life because the pond that they put it in, and like I said, that they like have this secluded pond, just this one place that they dump it. um, all of the marine life lives perfectly healthy in this water. So the ash doesn't even pollute the water. It's the ash is toxic, but I think it's toxic while airborne. But underneath the water, it does absolutely nothing. It just settles like settlement or something like that. there might be a couple things that I have slightly incorrect in that process, but um, yeah. So it's an extremely clean country, extremely safe country. Um, and one of the one of the things there, you know, you're never going to find trash on the side of the street. When I was in Singapore, I was so amazed about how clean everything was because they have like street cleaners that clean everything, and there's trash cans like on every corner, so there's absolutely no reason to litter. Nobody litters because if you do litter, I'm pretty sure that's one of the great offenses that you can actually potentially be caned for publicly. And so nobody's gonna litter in Singapore. It's just it would be a, a severe offense, and for that reason, like the streets are just so clean. And I remember walking through Singapore with some of my Navy friends, and I was like, man, these streets are so clean. I'd eat off of them because the whole country is just spotlessly clean. Now, I'm with that said, I know absolutely nothing about like the political system or the government or anything like that. So I don't know if it's like truly a great country in the sense like, you know, politically speaking, and whether or not the citizens have like freedom of speech or anything like that. I can't imagine that it's, you know, too bad in that regard, but I could be wrong because I'm totally ignorant of it. But it seemed like a really great country nonetheless. Yeah, South Korea, that's someplace that I've always wanted to go as well. Oh, hey there, Cece. Alrighty. Well, I think I've adjusted the face enough. I think it looks a lot better. Now I want to begin introducing some of the extra colors. So I'm going to start with the 405, that cobalt blue. And like I said, I'm going to reserve this for the shadows that occur on the left side of the figure. So very gently, I'm going to start applying this to some of the shadows here. And as I've described before, I'm not trying to turn anything blue. I want to tone it blue. I want you to just be able to see hints of the blue. So the amount that I use is going to be rather small, and you'll almost have to know it's there to be able to see it. But we'll see how it goes. As I'm applying it, it might show up a little bit brighter, but then I'm going to use the blender. So all of these dark areas are going to get a nice touch of this cobalt. And this will be the plan for the remainder of this project, is essentially redo every section and then introduce these colors. And then that will be the project. So we'll see how long this takes me. Yeah, I don't know if there's any country like Singapore that deals with their trash the way that they do. It seems like an incredibly reasonable way to handle trash. And if it's truly as good as it sounds, because it's one of those things like there's got to be some kind of drawback to this, right? And I don't personally like I don't know a lot about it. I just know about it enough to say what they want you to believe about it, and I don't know to what extent it's either a good or a bad thing. Um, but it sounds feasible. Like it sounds very feasible. They essentially turn all of the air, like they filter the air from burning it. They use the burning of it as fuel to generate electricity, which seems reasonable. Like if you're gonna have a fire that burns 24/7, um, you know, all week, all year, it's a fire that never goes out, right? If you're gonna have that, you might as well generate as much electricity as you can from it. And if the fuel is just garbage, obviously, just letting that smoke billow into the air is not a good idea. So they've devised a system of purifying it so that it's actually cleaner than just regular air. And then, however it is that they're purifying it, all that's all that's remained is the ash from the actual fires themselves, from the trash itself. And of course, getting rid of that ash, I explained how they do that. So if it truly works the way that it's described, then it sort of baffles me why it's not used more often. Like it seems reasonable. Seems totally reasonable. And so why not do it like that in more areas, in more places in the world? Okay, you take care, Norlene. Have a good appointment. All right, so there's some blue. Let's add some of the sienna now. See how this is going to work because I don't really know how this is going to work. Um, I think maybe I'll just pick some areas here and bring in some sienna. So maybe some of these transitions or whatnot. The idea is to get some of the shapes that are on the right side, get them have a little bit of the sienna here. So this hair here, the light is coming from the right, so there's not as many shadows on that side, right? So it's a little trickier. So I'm just gonna sort of do it arbitrarily. So maybe I'll do the cheek right here. Up to the highlight, and maybe I'll do this cheek here. A little bit underneath the lip, some of the chin here maybe. So something like that. I'm just gonna take the blender. That's too much like right. I'm not quite sure if you're talking to me, Victor, or what that means. You have to clarify. Let me know. Just very, very delicately smoothing these shapes and whatnot. Oh, I have still have some tea left. Can you guys see the blue? What do you think? What do you think? A little bit of think about that little bit of blue in there. I'm gonna blend out the sienna now. I'm actually a little torn about the sienna. I like it. Yeah, I like it. I like it when it's blended out. I don't know. I still have that mustard yellow color. I'm actually not sure if I'm even gonna use it. One second. I'm gonna grab a tissue. I'm gonna use the tissue to clean off my blender a little bit. So I don't contaminate the lighter values with some of that blue or darker gray. If I can smooth out this nose a little bit too. Looking a little rough. Yeah, there we go. I like that. Yeah, that hint of blue actually adds a lot. I'm I don't know. I'm gonna add the mustard. I'm gonna add the mustard, but I need to think a little bit. I think maybe I'll add it to all those areas where I add like the what is it? Where I added like the 704. So like right through here, add a little bit of the mustard. This is the 690. It's the actual color. I don't know if the name is mustard. Just reminds me of mustard. So some of these areas, and just give it a bit more warmth as opposed to the grayness. Yeah, okay, I'm liking this. So I'm going to focus this in the transition between the darker values and the midtones. This really warms up the stone in the statue, so I like this. And I'm not going to do too much with this color. Pretty much like that. Okie dokie. Let's I'm actually just gonna add some blue. I'm just gonna add some color to the bird. So I'm gonna switch back to the 405. Add this to the shadows, the blue here. I think the bird's pretty well covered, honestly. The blue right in here. And then let's do the sienna. I'm gonna do the sienna up here. Over on this side. Back here on the back of the bird. And then I'll use some of the mustard in the same manner, sort of, in this transition. Let me use the 700 to smooth this out a little bit. And then maybe I'll use some of the white for any of the really actually bright spots. And just a touch of white, I think maybe on the top of the head. A little flash of white here, along the back a bit. A little bit on this wing here. And on the back of this wing over here. All right, and now let's just very delicately blend it out. So kind of random question for everyone. Anybody been watching the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial? I'm just curious if anybody else is tuning in to that train wreck of a trial. That's about all I can compare it to really is just when you see a train wreck and you can't look away from it because it's just a disaster. You watch a lawyer making commentary. Yeah, I don't watch any analysis or anything like that. I just watch the well, like I said, I just watch the train wreck of the trial itself. Haven't been watching it, but been getting updates. Yeah, it's I can only handle so much of it, but there's been some rather comedic moments, that's for sure. Very, very interesting. I don't usually get into anything that is even remotely related to like famous people in their problems. But and truthfully, I mean I never even heard of Amber Heard before, but I it's not like I'm like a huge Johnny Depp fan or anything. Like, he's certainly been in some really good movies, and there's no denying that he's a fantastic actor. Like that's not up for debate at all. But goodness gracious, their uh, their relationship doesn't sound like much fun, or their relationship that they had doesn't sound like it was much fun. Oh, all right. Let's go back to the shadows. I'm going to use the 726 once again. Do a little bit of work on her neck. Not quite satisfied with the way that this looks right now, so just going to focus on. I didn't mean to ask and bring up anything specific, by the way. Just in case anybody was wondering, like I was just curious if anybody was watching that. I don't want to like debate anything. I don't think there's much purpose in doing that. Sort of just feels like reality TV. Yeah, pretty much ignore drama. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't I don't tend to get into that stuff. Oh, then I guess I'm in luck, Remy, that you prefer watching something like this. I wish I could convince more people. Yeah, I wish I could convince more people to watch something like me. You know, one of my biggest struggles. I was mentioning it yesterday. Like sometimes, I feel I get a little disheartened um, with what I do because even though I would describe myself as being successful, sometimes I can't help but compare myself to other people. I fall down uh, that trap every now and again. But at the end of the day, I still feel like I have the most wonderful people watching me. So I don't try to seek out more people in the manner in which most YouTubers do. You know, I don't even remember 90% of the time to ask you guys to like the live streams or like my videos or share my videos or anything like that. I'd say I pretty much never do that. But fortunately, it hasn't been to my detriment, and so I feel pretty good about that at the least. But at the same time, uh, it does get to me every now and again. I would be lying if I said otherwise. And one of the one of the recent things, actually, it's not so recent in the sense that it's just come up in like the past year or so. It's sort of been a trend that has continued to snowball, really just completely out of control. Um, yeah, it's completely out of control right now, and I I find it to be the most disheartening part of of being on this platform, and that is that is like the content that is being pumped out by very popular people, where all they do is they watch other people's YouTube videos and then they upload the clips of them watching it, but they watch the whole video. Like it's just imagine um imagine just any YouTube video. Does it literally could be anything. And actually they sort of have like this setup most of the time. You know, you see me down here in the corner and then you see me working here, right? Well, imagine that this part is just another person's YouTube video. And they'll just sit down here in the corner and they'll just watch it. Sometimes they say stuff, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they pause it, sometimes they don't. You know what I mean? And then they just upload that reacting to somebody else's video that they put time and energy into. And they make you know, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this, right? They make hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions. Some people make millions doing this. And it sort of popped up in my recommendations recently. Somebody else that was talking about the plague of reaction content. And, you know, I always knew it was bad. I just didn't know it was as bad as this person was explaining it. And, gosh, you know, when I come across stuff like that, it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult to stay motivated because it's like I used to make a lot of pre-recorded. I used to spend a lot of time editing and writing scripts and doing all this stuff. And if you want to know the truth, the reason I don't make videos like that anymore is because I put a tremendous amount of effort into them and then I get nothing out of it. So that's the reality of the like the changes in my channel over the years. The reality is that it doesn't work for me. I don't like to do that. God, if I'm going to put in the time and energy, I'd rather it be in these live streams, you know, because this takes it doesn't take as much energy in terms of like writing scripts and editing and all of that takes far less, which is why I sort of prefer it and have gravitated towards it. But at the same time, I've been missing that. You know what I mean? I've been missing um, like setting up a project and using my camera and getting really cool camera angles and thinking about the process and going through and editing and adding music and maybe adding a narration to it and telling a story. I sort of miss creating that because when I got into doing YouTube and stuff, that's what I love to do. Like I enjoyed learning how to edit and learning how to do like fun tricks with cinematography and all of that. And I just flat out don't do it anymore because there is this plague of reaction content that people are making people are making 1,000 times more than me, probably 10,000 or even 100,000 times more than me with no effort at all. And it's so discouraging, you know? It's just so discouraging. And I try not to let it bother me, but goodness, it is hard. Yeah, it is hard. Sometimes sometimes it's just hard to be reminded as to how unfair life is sometimes. It makes it even more difficult to find the motivation to do something that takes a tremendous amount of effort, and then even in the midst of all that effort, you're still outperformed by just plethora of people that that put in absolutely no effort, you know? That it's rough. It's super rough. Yeah, it's very, very rough. Just don't have the words for it. I just try my best to keep uh you know, try my best to keep motivated. Unfortunately, I have all of you lovely people, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because it's been getting to me a little bit, and I figured it'd be better to just let you guys in on it a bit, you know, let you guys know about it because, like some of you mentioned, um, you weren't even aware. Some of you knew about reaction content, but some of you may not. It's even hard to describe exactly what it is, but if you can just imagine you're watching TV and you just turn a webcam on, right? And it shows you watching TV. Just switch out TV for any YouTube video, and it's that. It's somebody just watching somebody else's hard work. Yeah, I know what you mean as far as like pre-recorded projects, like, but what I mean, if you go back pretty far on my YouTube channel to the point that I'm just doing like time lapses. I'm trying to think of like one that I was really proud of. Well, actually, if you go back and you search subscriber portraits, I think I have about 10 or 11 of subscriber portraits. The subscriber portraits were something that I used to practice my cinematography skills. So if you watch the first one and then the next one and the next one and the next one, I think they're about 4 or 5 minutes long. I don't remember how long I made them. I knew back then I tried to keep it fairly short, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes or something. But the entire process of each one shows my progression at getting better at cinematography and editing and using like music to like follow a flow. When I was doing that, when I if you like if you go back to some of my early portraits, there I know there's a marker portrait. One of my favorite marker portraits is, I don't remember the name of it. It's like blue or like very blue portrait or something along those lines, but it's a marker portrait, and I love the music that I was able to use for that, and I love the editing of it. Like the editing is probably one of my best before I sort of like started not doing as much projects like that. And I really sort of miss doing projects like that sometimes. Um, but believe it or not, I used to shoot projects like that in a day. I'd like wake up in the morning and I would color the whole project or whatever in a single sitting while also managing the camera and um, changing the camera angles and telling a story. I had a pretty good flow, workflow with those projects. You know what I might do, because I made all those projects when I had less than 1,000 subscribers. I don't even think I had 1,000 subscribers when I made those projects, so a lot of people aren't even aware of them. A lot of the subscribers that I have now, you know, you because I have if you include all of my live streams, I have like 15 or 1600 videos. But if you exclude all the live streams, I only have like 600 or something like that. And most people don't go that far back on my channel to see what I've done before. Yeah, I've been thinking about sort of recycling some of my content and maybe doing a narration of it, or like adding a narration or something like that. Or maybe I'll just straight up re-upload it. I'll just make it private. I'll just or make it unlisted and then re-upload the video with some slight editing changes and perhaps a narration for like the less special projects, or the less or the videos that just aren't shot as well or something along those lines. But yeah, yeah, refreshing the thumbnails and like re-uploading the video and all of that, I think that might actually be something that I could do. No, I've never really done something. Well, I mean, I've done plenty of things that's so fun that I just sort of like forget about it and I enjoy the whole process. Like those videos that I'm describing, that's exactly what those videos were. those videos were me enjoying the entire process because I didn't just think about I wasn't just drawing. I was also writing the entire video in my head. Like I was thinking about the camera angles and the way that I wanted things to be shot with the music in mind. I'm going to use a 704 to add some more value to these areas here. Some of it, like around the neck, just feels a bit too bright. No, those videos actually didn't never did anything for my channel. They they only did anything for me. Like I enjoyed making them and everything, and they helped me hone skills that I don't even use anymore. So really, they never did anything except allow me to have fun in those times, which I don't have a problem with at all. Like I enjoyed making them thoroughly. When I originally started doing YouTube and taking it more seriously, um, I inevitably had to think a little bit more in terms of what I can produce in order to compete in this space because that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. I have to compete just enough to continue to do it. And that's not a good mindset. It truly isn't. But it is a reality that I have to deal with. I mean, if I never competed, I don't know if I'd still be doing this. I'm grateful that I'm able to, but the truth is I had to do a little bit of competing in order to make it on the platform cuz the platform, especially now, like the past like 5 or 6 years, um being so tuned to the algorithm, uh, it's all about gaining that small edge against the algorithm and everybody else competing for that attention. And it's just for me that it's just not fun. And so I only I only put in like the most mild of effort in that realm of competing for the attention because I'm not one to much care about attention. That's just the business side of my endeavor here. My apologies if I'm coming off as rambly. I'm just talking random stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I want to redraw that stuff. Although it would be kind of fun to like reshoot a video. It would be kind of cool to do that. Like redraw and remake one of my videos. That could be interesting. The only problem is that I can't live stream and do that. That's the biggest problem. Yeah, skills I don't use like editing and cinematography. No, I'm not talking about drawing skills. My chibi project, all for Inktober. Yeah, those kind of projects, they take a tremendous amount of time and effort. And I can't balance the live stream and do those kind of videos. As I as I evolved over the years, as my channel evolved over the years, I continuously tried to make the adjustments necessary to continue to be able to, uh, well, really to survive, right? And so I used to do all of my tutorials as a pre-recorded video. What I used to do, like the all these pictures that you see behind me, all of these were tutorials. But what they really were was just real-time videos. So I would sit down and I would like color like these clouds here or the tomato or the bird or the pumpkin over here. Um, I would just have my camera record me drawing that from beginning to end, and I would take that full, usually about a 2 hour video. That's why I drew them so small so that I could do them relatively quickly. And I would take that full video, the full real time version. I'd upload it. There was no narration. There was nothing like that. It was just you can watch me draw this in real time. And I'd try to like always show the number of the pencil. So I'd grab a pencil, I'd show the number, and then I'd get to work on the project and whatnot. And then I would take that real time video and I turned it into like a 2 to 3 minute time lapse with music. And then I would turn it also into a 10 to 12 minute narrated tutorial. And I did that for a while. That was actually sort of how I developed my Patreon in the beginning when I still used Patreon. And it worked a bit, but I was seeing this was during the what I would consider like the live stream boom. Live streaming was becoming far more popular. A lot of people were tuning into live streams. A lot of artists were doing live streams like on Twitch and stuff. And so I thought that the best thing to do was to get into live streaming. I needed to, I needed to continue to compete, right? So I changed my tutorials. These tutorials became what you're watching now. And I did several tutorials just free on YouTube, but then I would do the private tutorials for Patreon, which now I don't do Patreon. Instead, I use my own website so that I don't get randomly deleted in the middle of the night for whatever reason Patreon seemed fit. And here we are. And I used to only live stream. I'm sure many of you even remember this. I used to only live stream um, Monday, no, Tuesday and Thursday. I only live stream Tuesday and Thursday. And then on the other days, I would try to make the pre-recorded content. But when I started the art club, I felt like it was important to increase the amount that I was live streaming, because in order to afford my own private website as opposed to just using Patreon and using their junk services for free, with the exception of the 10% they take off the top, um, I needed to increase the cost of the art club by a little bit. I think on I think on Patreon I had it at $5, and now I have it at $8. So I increased it by $3, and I just felt obligated to stream more because because I increased the price. So you know these are sort of like the timeline of the decisions that I've made over the years. And I've always second guessed myself, trying to trying to balance trying to balance being myself while also maintaining a reasonable livelihood. Because one here's the reality: I make 15 to $18,000 a year. That's it. So not hiding anything, not afraid to say it. That's all that I make. I don't try to make a ton. I don't and and I make just enough of what I need in order to feel content. That's it. Yeah, I think Patreon's actually more than 10% now. I think 10% was anybody that was grandfathered in. I was grandfathered in because I was one of the first people to sign up for Patreon. So I had what's a grandfather account. And so I think the percentage that they took was 10%, but they increased it a lot. Um, they increased it a lot a few years ago. Now you would love to have 10%, but only grandfather accounts have that. You were telling this one channel who went behind a paywall when their following got high that if you allow all of these followers to give you $1 a year, you all would still. Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean, Sally. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to like I would never do that. My content, like as you can see, everybody here, the this live stream is public for everybody. Everybody can watch this. The only thing that's behind the paywall is your ability to rewatch it later, you know? And also the reference photo and the line art. So I actually still give everybody the opportunity to do everything without paying for it, with the exception of being able to rewatch it. Because again, it's a constant balance between, well, really being able to be myself and still survive. And just to clarify, it's not like I'm struggling with anything. I'm not struggling with anything at all. It's just you know, it's just what it is. Would I truly be happy with 1 million views? I it's well, it's I have several million views. I'm not happy because of numbers. I'm not That's not what makes me happy. What makes me happy is having lovely people like you to come by, hang out with, create art with, see all of your artwork. That's what makes me happy. Because if it was like getting 1 million views on a video, like every video that I upload, well, I would have quit probably a long time ago because I don't get anywhere near 1 million views on my videos. There's just a few videos that have over a million views. Three, I think. Two for sure, but three, I think. I don't go and look to see very often, but I know for sure two. Yeah, those of you that do the projects, yeah, I think just about everyone rewatches. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna switch to the 700. Yeah, Sally, that was the thing that I always wanted to avoid. I always wanted to avoid any necessity to charge for people to enjoy like my live streams and to enjoy my videos and to enjoy my tutorials and stuff like that. So it's been a long journey to try to find a a reasonable balance because if I didn't have to make money doing this, that'd be great. And I try to mitigate as much as I can. Like I don't want to have to worry about the money that I make from doing this. Like if I could not care how many people are signed up for the art club or how many subscribers or how many viewers I get on the live streams, that would be great. I'm almost there. Actually, I'm almost there. Um, I just need a little bit more to the point that none of it matters. Like, and once I get to that point, then well, then nothing else matters. I don't have to balance that anymore. Like right now, and for the foreseeable couple years at least, I have to balance these things. But ideally, I could just do it for free. and just draw whatever I want. And if you don't like that project, then you just wait around for the next project. But I want to balance like your guys' input on projects, and I want to do projects that you guys gravitate towards and all of that. Um, to help encourage people to, you know, be in the art club. I would say the art club's always going to be there. There's no reason for it not to be, because you always have access to all of those tutorials, and anybody that comes across it, they'll continue to have access to those tutorials, because at the end of the day, it's a library of just hours and hours of tutorials, right? Just thousands of hours of tutorials. And that will always be worth something. But eventually I won't have to um, I won't have to balance anything. And instead I can just be creative, and it won't matter it won't matter what is generated from it. I think that's um, there's that saying about something like the fastest way to like stop enjoying what you love is to turn it into a job or something like that. And then there's that converse saying where it's like if you if you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life. Both have a little bit of truth to them, but at the end of the day, it all goes back to like that balance, where if I want to make a living doing what I love like I do now, there's certain aspects of doing what I love that I actually have to give up. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people understand. There's just certain things that you have to do that turn what you love into a job, whether people want to admit that or not. It's just the reality of it. I think if I had that understanding a little bit sooner, I could have been prepared for it, but I've sort of had to learn that lesson the hard way while doing this for so long. And I think really I've just struggled with accepting it for so long. I've sort of just struggled with accepting that reality that there's certain aspects of doing what you love that you probably won't actually enjoy. And because of that, sometimes you can just run into a struggle that you're not prepared to deal with. I'm glad you like the projects that I choose. Sometimes though, like it's nice to not have to think of something and instead have you guys choose. I didn't when I was talking about that, I didn't want to um, at all imply that I don't enjoy it when you guys pick the projects. So yeah, don't take that the wrong way. I didn't. Um, I like it I like to choose my own projects, and I also like when you guys pick something for me when I'm struggling coming up with something, and the conversations that we have also about what we're going to do next. I enjoy that because I feel like we do a lot of projects a year. Last year was like 33 projects, which is a crazy amount considering the the scale of some of the projects are quite large, you know. Let's see, I think this part of this arm here needs a bit of love. This part here is looking a little rough. I'm just going to use the 704. Oh, thank you, CC. Communicating the gravy of life. Yeah, yeah. And this year, the number of projects, if we include the additional monthly mastery projects that you guys are going to be doing, um, we're on schedule to certainly outpace last year, which is even hard to imagine. Because some of the projects that we've already done this year have been rather complex, like especially the hand and foot project with the limited color palette of polychromos. I mean, those projects were those projects weren't easy. They're difficult projects and definitely time consuming when you spend the time to do them well. You're just trying to stick with drawing every day till you get better. That's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's how you do it, you know? I mean, you don't have to draw every day, but just regularly doing something, even if it's just a couple times a week, is certainly the quickest route. One of the things that I was actually thinking about, yeah, I have ideas that run through my head like a million miles an hour. I think I've explained it a number of times. Um, my wife has heard the explanation more times than she ever wants to. But I was actually thinking about taking some time off, and what I was what I was gonna do is I was gonna get a sketchbook. I have a sketchbook that I think it's still wrapped in plastic, and I only think there's like 15 pages in it, but or maybe 25. I don't know. I think there's 25. I was thinking about taking some time off, grabbing like my camera, and for however long it takes me to fill up the sketchbook, what I was going to do is I was going to just like jump on my bike, have my camera, have maybe pens, but for sure a pencil and an eraser. And I would just ride my bike somewhere, sit down, and just draw whatever I see, and just sort of fill up the sketchbook day after day, and just sort of like you know just be creative spontaneously a bit. I thought about that. Just take a break from streaming, take some time off, and just be a little bit of spontaneously creative. Take my camera so I can record like where I'm at and do like little vlog type things, and then maybe maybe do just like one long video of however long it takes me to fill up the sketchbook. Thought about I thought about doing that. Take a month off this summer and do it. Yeah, I thought about I could take my GoPro, I could, set it up and do a little time lapse and have my other camera and get some other shots or something. I don't know. I'm gonna switch to the 700 and smooth some of this out. You vote for August? Okay. Well, the thing is, I also want to try to, depending on the travel restrictions, I have to fly to the United States. There's just no way I can go one more year without going back to the States. So that's going to be like three weeks at least that I take off. Um, the beginning of August, I have a chess tournament that's going to be like a week and a half. You know, I know that you guys are I know that you guys are saying like that I should do this, I should take some time off and whatnot, but uh sometimes I just can't help but feel a little bit guilty doing it. I can take 1 to 2 hours a day trying something new. I do that all the time. Anytime I get into a new interest, I do that. It usually ends up being much more than 1 to 2 hours a day, though. It usually ends up being 100% of all free time that I have until I get bored of it. Because I was playing Lost Ark. Like when Lost Ark came out, that was taking up 100% of all of my free time, like 24/7. All my free time was playing that game. And now I only play it maybe an hour or two a week. Like, yeah, maybe like 2 or 3 hours a week. So I don't even sign in every day. I barely play it. And then I got into coding and I was doing I was doing some courses on Python, uh, coding in Python, and I was having a lot of fun with that. So that was like 2 weeks, 2 weeks of like learning how to code, um, and that was taking up all my spare time. There was of course the time where I was like really into Blender and 3D sculpting. I haven't done any of that for months even. Um, I've been meaning to get in back into that, and this is my personality. Like I will really get into something, and then it will just be 100% of all my free time, and then for whatever reason I get bored of it. I mostly get bored of these things so easily because I don't have anybody to do it with. And drawing has art, rather, has always been the only thing that's been consistently fun that even in the midst of doing it by myself, I still enjoy doing it. Um, but goodness, it's a lot more fun with it's a lot more fun with all of you. Yeah, maybe I could take like 2 weeks off and do just some drawing. The statue looks 1,000 times better from like the shoulders up. Like this part of her arm looks drastically better. Like this layered part here looks a lot better. Quite pleased with that. I'm going to use some white, bring out the highlights. Yep. I don't server side language. I actually I was only like super basic in Python, so server side language. Yeah, I guess I was mostly doing like Pi Auto GUI stuff where I essentially I essentially write code for my computer to do like hotkey automation and stuff. That's what I was trying to learn how to write bots. That's what I was for video games, not like creating fake Twitter accounts. Oh, I should learn how to write bots to troll people on Twitter. Yeah, yeah, I know it's important to take time for yourself, and I try to do that. Like going to chess tournaments, that's sort of my thing. Yeah, Diane has a lot of kids, Remy. Yeah. Yeah, she has a lot of kids. I don't know how she finds time to even watch my live streams, but yeah, most of her kids being adults now, fairly independent, but still no less uh, no less amazing. That's for sure. I haven't been able to convince my wife of starting a family yet. I've actually been trying to convince her. I don't know how much she would appreciate me sharing that information with you guys, but my wife is a really private person. But I've actually been trying to convince her of starting a family for a little over a year now. But I don't think that she'll change her mind. When we met, we neither one of us wanted to have kids, and for a majority of our relationship, that has been the case. We neither one of us wanted to have kids, and then I'm not sure exactly what changed. I was never like a hard no. That's how I always described myself. It wasn't that I never wanted to have kids, it's that at the point in my life, I was certain I didn't want to have kids, but my mind has changed about a lot of things over the years. Uh, since I was since I was 20, my I've changed my perspective on a lot of things, and so I never discounted the idea. I never discounted the idea that I may want to, and really, I think what one of the influencing factors was actually um, when I played Magic the Gathering. So I used to play Magic the Gathering every week. No joke. I actually stopped live streaming on Fridays so that I could play Magic the Gathering instead. And so my schedule was Tuesday. I think it used to be Wednesday, Friday, or maybe Tuesday, Friday. Can't remember. But uh, I switched it to like Tuesday, Thursday, so that I could play Friday Night Magic. But then Magic died. There was like barely anybody that was playing, and then I was like, I'm done with this game. I didn't even like it anymore. I once I got into chess, I was like, wait a minute, chess is far better than Magic because there's no luck. Like, there's no luck with chess unless you consider it lucky that your opponent misses your hanging queen. That's about that's about as lucky as you get. But with Magic the Gathering, it's either you draw too many lands, you draw no lands, or you draw the right amount of lands. Those are the three options. If you draw too many lands, the game is not fun. If you don't draw lands, the game is not fun. If you draw the right amount of lands, if your opponent doesn't draw lands, then the game is not fun. If they draw too many lands, the game is not fun. So if they draw just the right amount of lands and you draw just the right amount of lands, the game is fun. So you have a 1/6 chance every time you play the game to have fun. So that's not very good odds. Or is it? Is it even less than that? Yeah, it's 1 in 9. You have less than a 10% chance to have fun playing that game, right? My probability is a little rusty, but I'm pretty sure it's 1/3 times 1/3. Right? I'm not wrong on that, Diane. Those odds are right. Yeah, those odds are terrible. And what I actually found that I enjoyed most about Magic wasn't even playing the game. It was theorizing the potential in a game. And that's like the deck building process. So thinking about the deck that you get to build, um, but then you have to pay for the deck, and that's just ridiculous. Like it's way too priced. Everybody on the live stream says hello, by the way. Cuteness. I don't think she heard me. Yeah, the wifey is home. Never played Magic? I would just suggest you save your money. Oh yeah, for sure. It depends on who you're playing with. Because people cheat in Magic all the time. Yeah, people cheat all the time. Yeah, Yeah, I have to reteach myself probability every time I think about it. All right, let's add some blue here. So some of the 405. Yeah, I probably have around 4,000 cards. I think I have four boxes. I have four of those card boxes completely filled in the basement. And the wild thing is I didn't even play for very long. So I mean, I played for like maybe 2 years. The other thing about Magic is they got real political, which is just mind blowing. Back in the day when Magic the Gathering came out, they were like considered like satanic cult, like because of the artwork and stuff. The artwork was kind of dark and it sort of had a religious tone to some of the cards and stuff. So in some manners, I can see how like ultra religious people might associate it with like dark magic or some satanic stuff, but because it had like demons and goblins and things like that. But that was like the fantasy of it. And yeah, they got real political over the past like 5 or 6 years. And it's like why? It's your card game, just a lot of things in the past like 5 or 6 years got real political for absolutely no reason. Yeah, it's sort of gothic motif in some of the cards because they have their cards are broken up into colors. So you have like red, which is tends to be sort of goblin demon type things, or not necessarily demon, but like goblin types monsters. And then you have green that is like fairies and earth type monsters. And you have like blue, which is like water and psychic type monsters. You have white, which is like holy and angelic type monsters, and then you have black, which are like the demon and dark monsters. Did I miss any colors? Red, blue, white, black, green. It's been a while, but I think there's 5 colors. Pretty sure there's 5. Oh, hey there, John. Oh, John popped in. Let's see what Udon's up to. I haven't checked in on Udon in a couple days. Yeah, you can't see Udon. He is fully tucked inside his cave, so there's not much to look at there. Yeah, I like I mentioned, I fed him over the weekend, and usually he doesn't move for like a week. Yeah, yeah, he gets extra lazy if you can imagine that after he eats. Wow, a crochet patterning site or pattern site got political. Unbelievable. Well, what's the world coming to if you can't even crochet without politics? uh, I promise not to bring any politics into my live streams. Apolitical art only. We all have our own we all have our own perspective, and it's not relevant to the to what we're doing here. So yeah, yeah, that is true. Oh, thank you, John. Yeah, I'm just adding some fun colors to it now. I'm going to add the sienna to it here. Oh, I forgot to add some blue down here. A little bit of blue right here. It's I see, like, how well do you guys see blue that I'm adding to the shadows? Because when I look at it, I actually see really, really blue shadows, but I'm adding like the smallest amount. But I like it a lot. I really like the life that it gives the shadows. Like, I just feel like the shadows are shinier in some ways. Sort of looks like violet on your screen. Yeah, it's about as close to pure cobalt as I could find in the Carbothellos. Do you usually watch on your phone, Remy? Is there anybody else that watches on their phone? Or maybe iPad or something? Yeah, I'm gonna be adding it to all the shadows. All the shadows that face left. The sienna here that I'm adding is, I'm sort of adding it randomly, but I intend on adding it more towards the right side. So like this part of the arm, how it faces more towards the right. And I'll do this side. I'll do this portion of the arm here. Even though I still have to do the forearms, but I don't think I'm going to get to those today. Only when you've been walking the cat. I still can't get over that. I want to see a picture of your cat, Remy. Remy, are you in the Discord? If you're in the Discord, you gotta share a picture of your cat when you're walking it, because I would love to see it. I need a clearer picture in my head. I'm just every time I think about it, it makes me laugh a little bit on the inside. For some reason, I just can't help but picture a black and white cat. I just I just can't help but every time you mention walking your cat, I just um no, the Discord isn't an art club thing. Anybody can join the Discord. Yeah, I just can't help but think of a black and white cat. Like I just see like a predominantly black cat with like white spots and like a couple white paws maybe, and I just don't know why. Yeah, yeah, you could post a short clip of you walking your cat too. Okie dokie. Last color here, the 690. Grand kitties on their hamster wheel. Oh yeah, absolutely. 100% you can share that. If I ever get a video of Udon yawning, I'll show you guys. Oh, okay, Victor. That's cool. I never really think about the people that watch on their phone and stuff because it's not it's not something I do at all, you know. I don't even have a phone that can receive pictures. Welcome, Remy, to the Discord. I should get Udon a hamster wheel. See what he see what he thinks of a hamster wheel. Wow, 10 years ago? I I mean, even if I didn't do this, Udon a hamster wheel, funny picture. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what he would do on a hamster wheel. He would probably just leave immediately. Get Udon a shake weight. No, what I should get Udon one of those marble games, you know, where you like you put the marble and it like goes down the slide and like down a funnel and then zips around and stuff like that. I should just get Udon one of those and like put him at the top and let him like slide down like a really long marble. Yeah, I bet you miss your PC. I couldn't imagine going that long without one. Even if I didn't do what I do, where I rely on a computer so much, I still don't know. All right, I'm gonna blend this out. Try to get things nice and smooth. Okay, I gotta check out Remy's cat. Okay, I wasn't too far off with the picture that I had in my head. I swear I never saw your cat before. It's not black and white, but yeah, it could have been. It could have been any shade of gray or calico or anything like that. And this is pretty much sort of what I had pictured in my head for some reason, in spite of never seeing your cat before. It's just that the fur is more gray and spotty as opposed to just being black and white. That's cute. Oh wait, this is so Diane, this is your cat on hamster wheel. Okay, so when you said hamster wheel, I thought that you meant like a tiny thing, whereas that's like a hamster wheel for cats. That's great. Yeah. If I got a hamster wheel, if I got a hamster wheel that large, then maybe Udon could use it. But I was thinking of those like rickety little metal ones that, if you're not careful, can decapitate your hamster as opposed to giving it exercise. I just randomly started blending in the bright area for no reason. I'm being very, very delicate with my blending here. Yeah, Sally, are you in the Discord or you don't have Discord? Yeah, you'll have to free up some memory. I don't think it's a very big app. How's your art journey going, John? Did you get back into working on any of the Evolve projects that you've left behind? Oh, hi there, Jenny. I'm your favorite art channel. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm actually just about to wrap up. I'm just going to finish blending this out and then go greet my wife in the kitchen. Um, Tomorrow we'll get back to the colored pencil project, of course. Gosh, this week is going so fast for me. I haven't yet mentally prepared myself for my chess tournament this weekend. I have my hotel. I haven't decided whether I'm going to take the train or the bus to Wrocław. I'm leaning towards taking the train though. Trains tend to not cause so much motion sickness for me, but it depends on if I get on a new train or an old train because the old trains are rickety. They are very rickety, very bouncy and loud as can be. Oh my gosh, they're so loud. So even if I don't get motion sickness, I just get a headache from the loudness, the loud, obnoxious noise. But I intend on winning this chess tournament. Yeah, I'm gonna go into this chess tournament with the mindset of I am about to crush everybody. I'm gonna play good chess from beginning to end. Yes, I'm gonna play good chess. I am going to know where the restrooms are before my first game. That's another thing I'm going to know. My board vision right now is at its peak performance. I did a couple chess puzzles earlier today and I was just seeing it. I was just looking, I was like, that's the move right there. I was watching um the Super Bet Chess Classic, which was taking place in St. Louis. Or no, it was taking place in Bucharest. It was just being live streamed from St. Louis. Um, and I was watching like recaps of some of the games, and there was certain positions where it's like, you know what, the uh, MVL played in this position right here, and I was like, yeah, of course he's played King F2, and it was the best move. It was the best move. I was like, man, I'm seeing moves of super grandmasters right now. Like my board vision is just so sharp. Like I just feel so sharp with my board vision right now. I feel really really good. And confidence is confidence is huge in chess. It Psychology in chess is so insanely important. And so I'm going to win this tournament. No oil painting at all this year? Goodness gracious. Oh, yeah, I bet. Construction company, you're going to be busy. Yeah, I've taken ginger for motion sickness. It works a little bit. I mainly take charcoal tablets, actually. I usually take 2 or 3 charcoal tablets about an hour before I travel. That usually does the trick. Let's see here. I am done for the day. Yes, yes. I have one of my Unmask shirts that I almost always wear at my chess tournaments. I wore it in the last one, and I'll probably wear it this time too. Charcoal tablets, do they work better? Uh, yes, charcoal works better than ginger. Um, Ginger is good for limiting the nauseous feeling that you generally get with motion sickness, whereas charcoal is usually taken for digestive reasons to sort of settle your acidic stomach, if you know. Um, but it's also charcoal is also um, it does something neurologically, like it slows down something. I don't know the specifics. I haven't read it in a really long time. I mean, I started taking charcoal for seasickness when I was in the military because I wanted to take something natural. And I had this encyclopedia of, I can't remember the title, but they like release a new one every couple years. It's like an encyclopedia of natural herbal remedies or something like that. I can't remember the exact name, but it's usually a really thick book, really big. Looks like a phone book, like two phone books stacked on top of each other. And it has like lists of all the sort of illnesses that you can think of, um, and natural, scientifically tested natural remedies for it. And for motion sickness, there's charcoal, there's ginger, and there's I swear there's like two other things, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, charcoal. Um, Charcoal helps a lot. It's what I actually ended up taking while I was in the Navy. So yeah, it was always really, always really good. Anyways, like I said, that's it for today. As you can see, the difference here, like if you look at the side and her forearms, you can see how much softer, how much smoother all of the statue looks. The nice blue tone, a little bit of the sienna, and some of the yellow. You can really see the color difference between these areas, and I think it elevates the artwork a lot more. And of course, I fixed the face. I think the face looks much better, much better. But anyways, we'll continue on this project on Monday when I return. Also, like I'll probably reiterate it throughout the rest of the week, but there is a slight possibility I won't be back in time to stream on Monday because I will take the bus or train home um, in the morning, and it's like anywhere between like 2 and 3 hours of travel time. So depending on how the travel back on Monday is. But hopefully, we'll finish this project next week, regardless. But, anyways, that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out. Really appreciate it. Always nice hanging out. I wanted to stream a little extra today, so it's almost been 3 hours, which is the longest I've streamed in a while. So, hope you guys had fun. I'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Peace.